I'm gonna get back to that story, Sonny. Just, just you listen to Boomer Great One. He's gonna tell you about how it was back in the olden days, back before fire, back when we walked uphill for everything. In fact, we didn't even have a concept of downhill because there was no downhill. Everything was uphill. We thought that was normal. We didn't even have a word for it because there was no alternative. It was uphill all the time. You just need to reach down and grab yourselves by your bootstraps and pull yourselves up, Sonny. Because when I was your age, I bought a house for $25,000. And I made that money on my paper route and bussing tables at the local cafe. And if I could do it, you can do it too. You just need to reach down and pull yourself up and just buckle up there, buckaroo. God, I hate boomers.
In a video I did, I don't know, a day or two ago about, what was the title? It wasn't Outsourced. Yeah, now it's kind of, God damn it, I'm getting old. Oh, it was my case for a living wage. I'm against the minimum wage, but I'm like, I don't know how you have a company without paying a living wage because people need to live. We're talking again, we're hitting limits where if I can't live, I can't work for you. People don't have no workforce. I'm outsourcing to India, which is actually going to be part of this story. And so one of the audience members said, yeah, this happened to my company. They treated the American employees like shit. And then the guy outsourced to India, and then the company went bankrupt. I said, email me the story. And he did. And the story is somewhat typical of typical corporate American douchebag boomers being these egotistical, lazy, prideful, cocksucking motherfuckers. And that's the main part of the story. And at the end, he does a Hail Mary, thinking we're going to outsource to India, or could just as well be anywhere else. Indians are kind of the normal people in this story. And guess what? It didn't work. It didn't save the company because the problem actually wasn't necessarily outsourcing to India. It's that you are. This is listen to me. The problem isn't whether you have an American employees or outsourcing. The problem is you. Okay, listen, Disney. Listen to everybody at Disney. The problem is not your customers. The problem is you guys. You're leftist, activist, talentless hacks. Video game companies, the problem is you. It's not it's never your customers. Never. And if you companies would like to start making profits and not all start shutting down, it's not the employee. Generally, I'm sure there's bad employees, but generally, it's the managers, it's the leaders. And so I think the story highlights that. It's going to be a little lengthy, but just bear with me. We'll keep you anonymous and I'll change some things. This is a response to you requesting my story from your video. It may or may not be interesting, and feel free to use it. I think this is a germane story. No one in corporate America is going. No one, because number go up. So, but this will be for posterity. You know, for the women 25 years from now turned 50 years old and are bearing Karens. Why can't I find a man? Well, here's some videos from 25 years ago. Why can't I find a job? I went to college and did everything right. Well, there's a book written 12 years ago, 14 years ago. Just keep me anonymous, please, and thank you. I'll try to be concise. You can ask me any questions. Long and short is I slaved away over 100 hours a week during the entire disease. The owner constantly lied, manipulated and worked on short-term gains without any regard for long-term consequences. It was a situation that led to losing over 90% of the staff and being unable to rehire good people, leading into the collapse of his business. The timeline will be this. Certain year, I won't say when, The 20 teens started a job at a type of company with 4 branches and full staff. Things seem to work okay, but other managers are very clique normies. I'm not into the pride thing, and they took offense. I mean, you imagine you were prideful, you were a manager. I presume not gay pride. I'm not into the pride thing, and they took offense, so I was on the outside with them at meetings and interactions. Another year comes by, and the disease comes in, and at the meeting, the managers are requesting to be able to work from home, to which the owner refuses for good reason. It wouldn't work. The cracks start to show with tension between management and the owner. 2020, in a particular month, the entire management team, besides me, tells all the staff they're shutting down due to the disease, and all quit without notice. All right, right there. All right. The problem is the boss. That I know you gray pube, low IQ motherfuckers cannot listen. You cannot take self because it can't possibly be you because you're such egotistical egomaniacs. It is you. If you lose all your lieutenants, it is you. I mean, you're only talking about it from your perspective. Lord knows what their experience was with this guy. They didn't tell me or the owner, and we found out when angry customers started calling my branch asking why the other branches were closed. Apparently, the owner had said something while in the store after hours that really pissed off the head manager. He was on camera and heard the conversation. We scrambled to figure out what was going on, and this was a can of worms that would be an issue until I left till 2022. So the guy got caught, right, exposing his true self, not that his actions didn't. And you lost your entire officer class. You lost all your managers. 2020 continued. Owner came to me thinking he was going to have to shut down his entire business. We had a heart-to-heart, and I asked him if he believed in me keeping things going. He said, okay, and we kept my one branch open. During this time, I was not only to keep the business alive, but grow it. Oh, you fool. You dedicated 100 hours a week to a boomer boss? Are you crazy? You saved his ass? Let me guess, he rewarded you well. For you young kids, don't ever, I mean, don't do a shit job. Show up, do a good job, right? Do your best. But you don't save any boomer boss. You don't save any one of these pieces of shit. Absolutely not. That's a turnaround expert. Bain and McKinsey probably bill out around $800 an hour for that shit. You never do the work of Bain or McKinsey for free. You get Bain and McKinsey. I wonder what they bill out at. We did record. I don't want to say what you did. You adapted to the disease. So you did house calls, essentially. You did record number of business with that year with a very, very healthy profit margin. Essentially, I saved his business and grew it. Another date that you give me, the real side of him comes out. We started off by rehiring old staff and expanding out to the stores that had been closed. This is post-disease. I moved from the location I was in to a bigger location that gets better traffic, as I had proven I would do a good job. At first, it's all good and we're doing well. One payroll period, no one received the direct deposit. The owner had forgotten to submit it. This was a near fatal flaw that caused our staff to quit. Right, you're not getting paid. People are going to quit. You got one job, man. You got one job. And now it's a perfect point in time to give you a maxim, a rule, an inviolable rule. And you corporate lead. Why do I sound like such a Democrat? I swear to God. When you Fortune 500 Nepo baby incompetent fucks speak the platitude, in your mind it's a platitude, but it's a maxim. It's 100% concrete truth. Employees are our best asset. You don't realize it, but that's true. Because all other assets, whether it's the computer, the truck, the inventory, the paper, and the printers themselves, Those are all just tools, right? You know the most important asset at a mechanic shop? It's the mechanic. Because the socket wrenches are the same, the impact wrenches are the same, the lift is the same. I know they're not. I know there's varying degrees of quality. Stick with me on this. How good is your mechanic? Does he or she know what to do? Can they diagnose the problem correctly? And it's in the phrase how American corporations and employers look at employees. You are human resources. You are not skilled talent. You are not an experienced person. Ford did this. They say, we're going to take our overpaid old engineers with years of experience, fire them, and we're going to replace them with new ones and Mexican ones because it's cheaper. They literally think taking a 53-year-old dude with 25 years experience can be replaced by some kid fresh out of the University of Mexico in Mexico City with a 6-month internship under his belt. You really think they're that interchangeable? And if you don't pay your employees, I don't care how nice your other physical assets are, your company will not work. You need employees. You don't need an overabundance of employees. You don't need to overpay your employees, but you do need employees. They are your most important asset. And you low IQ Fortune 1000 fucks, although this guy was never in the Fortune 1000, better get real hip to the jive that you better train your employees, equip them, not fuck with them, and at the very least, pay them. You got one job, man. I know this is an anecdote. I know it's one story. But I want you young people out there to realize this is typical. This is standard. All right. It's a little bad he didn't pay. Like if your paycheck doesn't come in, that's on the left side of the bill distribution curve. That's pretty bad. But this is how they view you. You can just be replaced. You're interchangeable, as we're going to get to the end of the story. Because they do not have that ability to realize, wow, the managers head up the store and I can outsource. Then I don't have to worry about it. If I find the right person and train them well, I will never have to do much. If you train your employees well and you get the right person, you don't have to work. Oh, but you didn't pay them. The owner had forgot to submit it. This was a near fatal flaw that caused our staff to quit. Right. Now you got to spend 3 months finding replacements and training. After much smoothing over and get everyone on a paper check the same day, the crisis averted for now. Owner lied about the reasons by blaming the bank. It wasn't the bank's fault. As we expanded, don't want to read this. As the year went on, I promoted my assistant manager so he could move on to another store. He was ready and had already proven himself. One of my orders was when hired was to assess and train him. He had been running the store I came into poorly prior to my hiring. The owner was furious about this, but I thought it was the natural decision that he was doing well and we needed a manager for the store. I thought the game plan was owner at store A, me, owner at store B, him, and the owner was going to be at store A, you would be at store B, and your assistant manager, he'd be over at store C. The owner wanted him in the position without promoting him or paying him more, a common theme moving forward. As year X progressed, my store was doing well, but store A, that's the one managed by the owner, was falling behind. Store A was a mess, low morale. We lost several staff there. Around a month that I won't mention, the owner met with me to take over my store and send me back to store A, right? Because it can't be him. It can't be him. At this point, my store was thriving, well organized and good morale. His store was a shithole. Come on, baby, light my fire. I took this not so well, and it would be the start of conflict between us until I left, but I did it. I moved back to store A and spent the next several weeks getting it organized, cleaned, working on morale, staff, etc. Yeah, clean, right? Like you don't even have a clean store. People who litter. That's the IQ level of your boss, just throwing litter out the window of a car. Within months, store B became a disorganized mess, missing parts, no inventory orders on time, customer devices delayed, even lost. Once again, we lost staff and had morale issues coming from the store the owner was in. The shit really hit the fan when store C, where your previous assistant manager was, had an after work party and people started comparing notes. We had two relatives that both worked for us. One was X who did Y, the other was A who did B, and not a single bit of hard work. I eventually kicked him out of my store because he was rather useless. However, the owner was apparently paying this guy more because of nepotism. They all collectively got pissed and started drama within the entire company. Apparently, pay scales made no sense, and some of the most productive staff were way underpaid. Year X, the end of the line. At this point, we had gone through multiple rotations of staff. Morale was horrible, and most of the people who stayed on were simply didn't have other options at the time. After running store A again, successfully doing it well, store B was doing poor and missing key metrics. They weren't even scanning inventory or other weekly tasks. Over several thousand pieces of inventory were kept on inventory at a time. So keeping track is essential. The owner abandoned his store to his assistant manager who had no experience in the role and needed support. The owner started casting the assistant in a bad light because it can't be him. It cannot be the owner. I want to interject. Like, you think bosses are going to be this petty to, this guy owns the company, to tank their own company by making bad decisions and hiring incompetent, not stupid staff, like the guy didn't have experience they replaced, but his store was doing so bad that the owner was managing. He is so egotistical, he can't acknowledge it's him. So he got the other guy in to manage the store for him so he can blame him. I literally believe that's true. You say, what? Who's that dumb? Come on, baby, light my fire, bosses are who is that dumb. The owner started casting the assistant in a bad light, trying to make it seem like he was the reason the store was in shit shape. Fast forward a little, and the owner shows back up at my store to do an audit after I submitted some paperwork the day prior. He told me I had to leave the store and not come back until it was submitted and reviewed by corporate lawyers. If I had done something wrong, they were investigating. He sent me to store C as they needed help while this process went on. His audit yielded false results showing that expensive cameras were missing along with other parts. To cover my ass, I went back into the store a week later with my phone recording to prove the parts were there. I went to the location and proved that they were clearly labeled with serial numbers and barcodes. After submitting this evidence to corporate, the owner was furious, calling me. Wait, so was the owner of the corporation? Is this a franchise? I don't know now. Or maybe the corporate lawyers. Fierce called me about going back to the store. What, to cover your ass? Exactly. At this point, I think he wanted me to be the fall guy as his books were off and parts were missing from his other stores. Yep. Dude, that happened to me in banking. They wanted me to sign off on loans that were just not like where the tax returns were like 2 years old. Or they're like, oh, can't you change the numbers? No, motherfucker, I can't change the numbers. The numbers are the numbers. Now, I'm not a lawyer, but I'd imagine that would be fraud. At minimum, I would have been fired. I probably, maybe could. I mean, I guess I would open myself up to lawsuits. Although I guess the company would be sued for hiring me in the first place because I didn't have deep pockets back then. It was normal for me to go between stores helping out and delivering inventory. He then questioned me on bank deposits, saying money was missing. However, I had a spreadsheet saved of every deposit, and they matched receipts from the banks, which I scanned. Dude, here's another thing you get to do. Like, you think you're going to be able to go to this job, right, and just do your job. No. Dude, those bosses, they if they are especially trying to scam the company or egotists or trying to save their ass, they will throw you under the bus. This is why, I mean, if you're interested in a career that avoids all this, there's accounting. You go become your own tax accountant. If you're interested in how that might work, go take a look at the course, The World's Greatest Accounting Career. It's a course me and Chad put together. But this is why, accounting or not, dude, this is why you go become self-employed. Or you go work for the railroads where they send you way the fuck off in the middle of nowhere. Or you become a truck driver, right? Like Alex Patino or trucking, where you just drive. They can't bother you while you're driving across the country. And then, yeah, you got to deal with people like when you're dropping off or picking up. This is white collar work, man. This is white collar America. This is corporate America. This is corporate politics. I keep a CYA cover your ass server on Discord. I document everything in it. Look at you. I'm proud of you. How'd you get to that conclusion? Did you get screwed over in the past? Once I proved my books were in order, it became painfully obvious he didn't want me there anymore. I bowed out and put in my 2 weeks because I was just tired of it. And another company wanted me to start ASAP. Some of the staff who are friends stayed on, but not for much longer. Within about 3 months of my quitting, almost all the old staff left, which wasn't all that old to begin with because there was such turnover. Apparently, so the guy lies, cheats, makes bad hires, nepotist. Probably he himself was maybe embezzling a little bit. Don't know. It just sounds like laziness. Didn't train. God, all the moving around and all that. He does all this bullshit. And then he loses the number one asset. Now there's no one to pilot your machinery. Whatever. Drive the trucks, move the mouse. Press the machine. You just have a building full of assets that are now not being used at all by skilled people or trained people. It's over. It's over. Apparently, instead of hiring any managers, of which I was the last, he contracted out to India. Now here we go with the Hail Mary. Okay. I'm confused. You said earlier, due to the disease, people couldn't work remote. So how is he hiring managers out in India? And here's the problem. I got to imagine people in India, like you're an outsourcing company. You got all these Americans coming to you. I got to imagine at least half, probably more like 75%, are fucking incompetent American morons like this who give you their problems, right? And you're this guy, you're Punjab, you're on your phone, whatever. And you're looking at this like, what the fuck am I supposed to do with this? And then, okay, you make your $5-6 an hour, but I got to imagine you are getting some absolute shit impossible situations that cannot be done remotely. So he instead of, I have a problem, I don't want to work, I'm a lazy dumb motherfucker, I'm the big idea guy, you know what, and it can't possibly be the employees, I'm going to outsource to India. Let's see how this ends. They were supposed to put in parts orders, remotely restock inventory. How do you remotely restock inventory? Manage payroll, etc. In our business, managers just didn't push paper. They did the job themselves. At my store the last year, I was the only tech. You were doing other things in addition to management. We provided support to our staff on guidance on difficult jobs. The guys in India couldn't do that. Right. They're 2 oceans away. Fast forward to another year, store A is closed, store B is closed, the store C is the only one that remains. I've never been busier in my life, but with zero benefits. All the drama and being underpaid. I'll never do that again. There you go. I've learned my lesson and only work for myself now that hard. Yep. Go watch my video. Never try until you're 35. If the owner had just paid a fair wage and stepped out of the way, actually rehiring good managers, things would have gone better for him, right? The man ruined his business by not taking care of his people and trying to replace skill with outsourcing. Apologies if this is too long. No, I like seeing the details of a guy who's delusional, lazy, doesn't believe that human beings are like your greatest asset and can just be swapped out with guys on phones 2 oceans away for a physical store. There was so much more that happened and it took a toll on me, but I tried to keep it to the essential parts and not every detail. Oh, I'm sure there's every little bit of anecdotes. Every little bit of anecdotes. And here's why I like the long story. At the end, he tries to do current popular thing, and that is outsource. No offense to whatever, the Pakistani, Indians, Philippines, or whoever else. But especially trying to play an away game physically where it's a physical store. American employers, lend me your ears. You are going to regret, or maybe you won't because you're too stupid to realize. Outsourcing and AI are not going to be this nirvana, this heaven where you get rid or pare down all your labor costs. Employees are your best assets, and it pays long-term and will increase your profits if you take the time to sit down and properly train people. However, it also requires you to be not an incompetent, psychopathic asshole. And if you could keep going, oh, Indians charge $4 an hour, America charges $15. We save $11 an hour. No, you won't. No, you won't. In part because, well, in this case, they can't damn do the job because it's not, this wasn't something to outsource. And the second thing, I mean, they can only do so much from overseas, right? You can only do so much. But I don't know, maybe you want some native English speakers who live in the country, who are there to solve the problems. Maybe if you took the time to train people and not require college degrees, they would earn more than their $15 or $20 an hour. And if you keep outsourcing to second and third world countries where maybe they don't have the best education systems or the best training, certainly not the familiarity with your company, they're going to have mistakes. I was talking to, who was I talking to? Oh, it was an IT guy, and he knew a company, maybe it was even his own company. They outsourced programming to India. And he did the math, and it took 4 of their engineers or programmers to do the job of 1 American, and they still came back with mistakes and problems. And net brass tacks, at the end of the day, it cost more because you had to hire more of them. They still made mistakes. You had to edit and audit the work. I'm sorry that American labor tends to be higher quality. Oh my God. Speaking kindly or factually about Americans. Oh, but that's fine. That's fine. You think this, at the end of the day, every single one of you corporate managers, CEOs, executives, you can't possibly think the problem is you. You can't possibly think that you're wrong. And you also really, truly do view humans as human resources, that we're all interchangeable. Forget the ungodly sums of education required American kids to take. God, that's got to piss off millennials. Here, waste your entire youth going to school. Oh, we're outsourcing all the jobs. Bye. You're the ones with the problems. If you can imagine this, could you imagine hiring Americans and training them adequately and paying them a fair wage? Have you tried that? But no, to you, it truly is just human resources. We can swap out part A for part B, and it's going to work just fine. That's fine. Go ahead. See how it works. Take a physical company, outsource it to the Philippines. See how it works. I'm especially with this AI bullshit. I'm looking at like, geez, the PE ratio of the S&P 500 is pretty high. Like maybe I just switch to your boring staples company, like with a high dividend yield and a low PE ratio. This we can replace human beings. You're not going to be able to replace human beings. You got to go the other direction. You got to invest in them. But you're going to do it. You're going to run off this cliff. And you're going to see what happens on your earnings report. And then we get to, what was it? Was it Maytag? Someone's coming back to Kentucky like, yeah, our dishwashers aren't made too well. We're going to bring it back to the United States. Oh, really? But by all means, go ahead, outsource, see what happens. Reen, $5. At 30, I still have 2 roommates. Only way to save and invest. This culture doesn't create productive people. Companies also don't want to do the work. Right. No, everyone in America thinks it's the cheapest way is the best way and it's good. It's like, no, you're all tripping over dollars to pick up dimes. I can't wait for the big 4 because they're outsourcing a lot to India and the Philippines. I can't wait to see that. And their new model is, well, we'll have all the Indians and the Filipinos. They'll do the taxes and then we'll have like one guy audit the work of 10. Okay. Or you could just, what the fuck do you have against hiring Americans aside from cost, right? Which, by the way, I've already explained that, like, yeah, you're not saving money. They're going to save trouble down the road. Set that aside. Can you just pay Americans a living wage? What's wrong with that? What's wrong? Well, I want to give good jobs to America. In the olden days, I want to build a factory and employ the townsfolk. Can you do that? I know. You're all blinded by number go up this 3-month period of time until number don't go up no more. Lar, hey, what's up, buddy? Good to see you again. $10. I like to hear your opinions on the Nick Invest channel. Says many of the same things as you with more details. You can listen when hiking as none of the visuals are important. Nick Invest. Maybe I'll tune in. I mean, I guess if he says the same things I do, I'm going to agree with him because obviously we have the same opinion. I like these channels like Wall Street Millennial or Millennial Investor or Upper Echelon, where they go into the deep dives. Patrick Boyle. I like it when they go into like, oh, why did this company go bankrupt? Like, stupid, dumbass fucks who didn't value their employees. Suck duck, $5. All the boomer needs to do is sign the check and drive by quality control fuck ups. Yeah, it really is one of those things is just so you know, and it's not going to just be boomers. Gray hairs, Americans especially, I don't know about other countries, they cannot delegate, right? Again, the perfect example is the gray-haired boomer fuck who complained about the shade of gray on my charts, right? Because it's black and white printer. He's complaining about the shade of gray on my charts. Buddy, do you want me to do this job for you or do you want to do it? It really is like having a wife. Like, just so all you ladies know, maybe you want to sit down on this. This is going to floor you girls. Did you know that before you met your man, he did just fine doing his own dishes and his own laundry? But you're going to run into it. What are you doing? I'm like, whatever, doing the dishes. Well, you need to use this soap and you need this. No. Fuck it. You do it. I'm going to save you guys a lot of pain and agony. So, okay, you're doing it. What? You're doing dishes. If I'm not doing we're not having this stupid conversation. You need to have this conversation with your boss. You hired me to do X. I had a boss tell me that. I didn't hire you to do X. I hired you to do X the way I want you to do X. Fuck you, then you do it. Because usually the way the boomer wants you to do X takes 18-hour times longer, and you can never make progress. How you make progress? Like, look, I can do this way more efficiently with whatever, technology, spread, whatever. I can open a PDF, boomer. So give me the mission. I'll accomplish the mission. And you know what you get to do? You get to sit back and relax because I'm a competent person with great performance metrics. All you got to do is go deal with something else. And that is how organizations should be ran. You delegate. You will never find in the United States anybody over 40 anyone with gray hair who could fucking delegate. They can't. If I can't see you, how do I not know you're working? And just so you know, you young people don't have time for that shit. You really don't. You just don't. Because you get like, well, I could do this, I could get this done. And like, oh, and then I can make more progress and show you. And then you say, oh my God, look at this guy or gal. We should promote them, or now we have more money, or we should pay a bonus, or hey, now the company is growing. Like this simple fucking concept that I think every initial employee has. Like, well, why wouldn't we want to be? If let me show you how I can do my best. I've been training. Put me in, coach. You're not throwing the basketball the way I want you to. Then you play the fucking game. That's all this guy had to do. Sounded like he had some competent managers. Nope, he had to get involved. His ego got involved. You're going to run into that, kids. You're going to run into it. And at the end of the day, it can't be, well, the American employees suck. Let's outsource to India. Because it can't be me. It has to be all American employees. And then the Indians get like, what the fuck do you want us to do with it? All right, we'll charge you $5 an hour. Sure. How long do you think this is going to last? This is going to be done in 2 months. Just don't bank. Don't buy anything new here. Just hold on. I don't think they're going to be around. You know, bosses, listen, you got one job. It's to delegate. Train your employees so they can do it and delegate. That's what it is. But if you want to okay, then you do everything. Fuck. Party, $5. I'm outsourcing asshole consulting to India. They only charge $2 an hour. Let me know how it goes. We're interchangeable. Could you imagine India or Indian Aaron? Indian Cappy? Go ahead. Go. Yeah, every human is interchangeable, right? Like, I'm sure I could go work on an assembly line in China, right? You could ship me out there. I'll know exactly what I'm doing. Sure, right? Go have me go into a Swiss watchmaking company. I can, right? We can do it. Everybody's universally talented and trained and skilled. Suck duck, $2. When country becomes socialist, U.S. #1 social spend. Okay. Sweet kisses from Truckin', $5. We get to outsource the boomers' elder care to robots. Yeah, the robots are. Anyone who works knows you cannot replace humans. Everyone thinks you can just some low IQ shit like HR or marketing, even MBAs, right? Financial analysis. I can see some of that stuff being outsourced. The rest of it, I don't know, you're a tech and you got to, hook up a server. You're not going to replace that with robots. Trucks are going to drive and they're just going to dock and port. Oh, really? What if there's roadkill on the road? What if something happens? What if there's something of the unlimited variables on the highway that could just weather or whatever? Does the truck know how to do that? I mean, railways, you're forced on the rail. I could see that maybe. Still waiting for truck drivers to be replaced by AI. They've been saying that for 10 years. Oh, the trucks are just going to drive. Okay, let me know when it happens. In the meantime, I recommend you go make the money. All right, that's it. There you guys go. See you guys later. Toodles.